Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Legal World. Myself Dr. Seema Goyal. As I have started with this series on the company law, and in this series I have discussed certain important questions relating to the company law. Today in this video I am going to discuss with the formation of the company as well as pre-incorporation contracts. If we talk about the formation of the company, in the formation of the company there are the several stages. First one is promotion, second one is incorporation or the registration, and the last one is commencement of the business. Now I will discuss with these stages one by one. Firstly, I will discuss with promotion. If we talk about the word promotion, promotion is the first stage in the formation of a company. And the promotion means conceiving an idea of forming a company and taking all the necessary steps in this regard, such as organizing funds, property, as well as managerial ability. These are the certain steps which are taken in the case of promotion. As per C.W. Justenberg in his book Financial Organization and Management of Business, he has defined the term promotion. According to him, the promotion means discovery of the business opportunity and the subsequent organization of the funds, property, and managerial ability into the business concern for the purpose of making profits thereon. The person who discovers the business opportunity and takes about steps, that is called promoter. If we talk about the meaning of the term promoter, a company comes into existence on its incorporation, and the person who undertakes the steps towards the incorporation of a company, that person is known as promoter. Thus, the promoter is a person who undertakes to form a company and takes all the necessary steps for that purpose. That is promoter. This means promoter may be a natural person or it may be a company also, as both are the legal persons in the eyes of law. As per section 2 clause 69 of the Companies Act, promoter is a person who has been, number 1, named as such in a prospectus, or he has been identified by the company in annual return as referred to in section 92, or number 2, who has control over the affairs of the company directly or indirectly, whether as a shareholder or director or otherwise. Third one is, in accordance with whose advice, directions or instructions the board of directors of the company accustomed to act. So that is the certain points which are defining the term promoter. A person who acts in professional capacity is not a promoter, such as advocate, solicitor, or auditor. If we talk about the legal position of a promoter is neither a trustee or an agent of the company. A promoter stands in the fiduciary position towards the company. In the case of Weavers Mills Limited versus Ball case in 1969, the Honorable Court has held that a promoter is one who undertakes to form a company and takes all the necessary steps to accomplish that purpose. If we talk about the duties and liabilities of the promoter towards the company and also towards the public, there are the certain duties as well as liabilities. Number 1, fiduciary position towards the company. A promoter is in fiduciary position towards the company. This means held in the case of Emile and Larger versus No Sombrio Phosphate Company. In this case, it was held that promoter stands in a fiduciary position and they have in their hand the creation and the molding of the company, and they have the power to define how, when, and what shape and under what provisions it shall start and its existence and begins to act as a trading concern. And the second one is duty to disclose all the material facts and not to make any secret profit. That is also essential for a promoter. The chief duty of the promoter is to act in good faith towards the company, as he is in the fiduciary position towards the company, and he has to disclose the company, his position, his profit and interest in the property which is subject to sale and purchase by the company. So the promoter must disclose fully all the material facts regarding the formation of the company. If the promoter contracts to sell his own property to the company without making a full disclosure, the company either repudiates the contract or affairs the contract and recover the profit made by the promoter. And the third one is duty not to make a secret profit. The promoter must not make any directly or indirectly any secret profit at the expense of the company, which they are promoting. If they do so, the company may be recovered that same profit. In the case of Enlarger versus New Sembrio Phosphate Company in 1998, Mr. Enlarger, who headed a group of persons, purchased an island containing a valuable mines of phosphate for rupees 55,000. In this case, there was no independent body of the directors and no disclosure of the profit was made by the promoters. House of Lords has held that company was entitled to rescind the contract and to recover the purchase money from the Mr. Enlarger and other members of the associations. If we talk about the liabilities of the promoters, there are the certain liabilities of the promoters. Number one, for the incorporation of the company by furnishing false information under section 71. Where at any time after the incorporation of the company it is proved that the company has been incorporated by furnishing the false information or the incorrect information or suppressing any material fact or the information, the person making such declaration shall be liable under section 447. And section 447 provides the imprisonment for a term not less than 6 months. It may extend to 10 years and also fine that may also be imposed. That is the first liability. Second one is for the omission in the prospectus. As per section 26, the prospectus issued by the promoters must state the matters and the reports as specified in section 26 of the Companies Act. If the promoters don't comply with the provisions, it may be held liable for the same, and they shall be punishable with the imprisonment for a term that may exceed up to 3 years and with fine that will be not less than 50,000 rupees, but which may extend to 3 lakh rupees or with both. And the third one is civil and criminal liabilities for the misstatement in prospectus. As per section 35, prospectus of the company should contain the true statements. Otherwise, the promoters are liable for such untrue statements in the prospectus. If we talk about the civil liability, they are liable to pay the compensation to the subscribers for the damage suffered by them due to untrue statements. And if we talk about the criminal liability, they are also liable criminally. They are liable for punishment with imprisonment for a term of 2 years and with fine up to rupees 5 lakh or with both. And the fourth one is for the non-disclosure of the secret profits. In case the promoter fails to make the disclosure of the material facts and makes the secret profits, the company can bring proceedings for the rescission of the contract. It can also file the suit for the recovery of secret profits which the promoters has made. Next one is personal liability of the promoters for the non-adoption of the preliminary contracts by the company. If a promoter enters into a contract on the behalf of the company before the incorporation of the company, he may be held personally liable by the third party if the company does not adopt the contract. And the next one is remuneration of the promoters or the salary of the promoters. The company is not legally binding for the remuneration of the promoters. The promoters can't claim remuneration from the company as a matter of right. They can get remuneration for their services only if there is a contract to that effect. There may be remuneration in the following ways. Number one, they may sell their own property to the company. Second one is they may be paid a lump sum either in cash or in form of shares or the debentures of the company. Third one is they may be given commission on the purchase price of the business taken over by the company. Next one is pre-incorporation contracts. The contracts which the promoters enter into for the company before the incorporation of the company, they are called pre-incorporation contracts or the preliminary contracts. Generally, a company is legally bound for any contracts after the incorporation only. The company has no legal existence until it is incorporated. So companies can't be held liable for the pre-incorporation contracts. As per English law, a company can't enter into a contract before its incorporation. It has no legal existence at that time. That is why companies not allowed to enter into the contract before the incorporation. The company even cannot ratify such contracts. It can enter into a fresh contract after its incorporation only. If we talk about the position in India in law, the pre-incorporation contracts are not legally binding upon the company, and the company is not entitled to sue on the pre-incorporation contracts. So, Netherlands colonization company was its Pauline Culinary Syndicate in 1904. The appellate company entered into an agreement with an agent of the syndicate before its incorporation, and that applies the company would grant a mining lease to the syndicate, and the syndicate was then registered. It claimed the lease right, and the appellant company refused to grant the lease to the syndicate. Thereupon, the syndicate filed a suit for the specified performance of the contract, that in alternative for the damages. Privy Council held that there was no binding contract as it was not in existence at the time of making of the contract. This means that was a pre-incorporation contract for which company was not liable. After the incorporation, the company is not bound by the preliminary contracts, even if the company was taken the benefit out of the work on its behalf under the contract. If we talk about the certain cases on this point, first case in this series, that is in Re-English and Colonial Produce Company Limited in 1906. A solicitor on the instrument of certain persons who later become the director of the company prepared the memorandum and article of the company. Solicitor paid the registration fee and other incidental expenses of the registration. It was held by the court that company was not liable to pay the solicitor cost before it was taken the benefit of its work. The company could not be sued in law for those expenses as it was not in existence at the time of making the contract, at the time of making the expenses. In another case, that is in Re Kellner versus Boxster in 1866, Privy Council in this case was held at. In this case, it was held that the promoters is personally liable if the contracts on the behalf of the company known to both the parties to be non-existent. In this case, the plaintiff wanted to sell the property to a company which was to be incorporated, but he entered into a contract to sell wine to the proposed director of the company. The proposed director signed the contract on the behalf of the company, which was yet to be formed. He took delivery of the wine. The company was held not bound by the contract, but the proposed directors were held personally liable. If we talk about the adoption of the pre-incorporation contract or the ratification of the pre-incorporation contract, a company cannot ratify a pre-incorporation contract entered into by the promoters on the behalf of the company. Thus, it cannot ratify the benefits. Thus, it cannot obtain the benefit of the contracts which have been made on its behalf before its incorporation by adoption of the ratification. The doctrine of ratification applies only if an agent contracts for a principal who is in existence and who is competent to enter into the contract by agent. Where a contract is made on behalf of the company known to both the parties to be non-existent, then the promoters are personally liable and the company can enter into a fresh contract after its incorporation with the other party. If a company makes a fresh contract in terms of the pre-incorporation contracts, the liability of the promoters comes to an end. If the company does not make a fresh contract within the limited time, either of the party may resign the contract. If we talk about the specific performance of the incorporated contracts, the company can neither take the advantage of the pre-incorporated contracts, nor it can made liable for such contracts. As per Section 15 of the Specific Relief Act, where the promoters of the company have entered into a pre-incorporation contracts on the behalf of the company, and such contract is warranted by the terms of the incorporation under Section 19. Specific performance may be obtained by or enforced against the company, provided that the company has accepted the contract and duly communicated such acceptance to the other party to the contract. So this was all about the formation of the company as well as pre-incorporation contracts, and that is one of the most important questions for the examination point of view. Both can be asked separately or it may be asked in one question also. And if you have any doubt, you must put down in the comment section. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe this channel. If you have any doubt, you must put down in the comment section. And if you have any doubt, you must put down in the comment section. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe this channel for the further update. Thank you. यदि हम कंपनी के फॉर्मेशन की बात करते हैं तो कंपनी के फॉर्मेशन के लिए कुछ स्टेजेस बताई गई हैं, जैसे कि प्रमोशन, इनकॉर्पोरेशन या रजिस्ट्रेशन, एंड द लास्ट वन इज कमेंसमेंट ऑफ बिजनेस. इफ वी टॉक अबाउट द प्रमोशन किसी भी कंपनी के फॉर्मेशन के लिए पहली स्टेज बताई जाती है. प्रमोशन मीन्स किसी भी कंपनी को फॉर्म करने का एक आइडिया लेना और उसके संबंध में जितने भी नेसेसरी स्टेप्स लेने हैं उसके संबंध में कार्य करना, फंड को ऑर्गेनाइज करना, प्रॉपर्टी को ऑर्गेनाइज करना, इसका मैनेजरियल एबिलिटी. दीज आर द सर्टेन स्टेप्स विच आर टेकन इन द प्रमोशन ऑफ द कंपनी. C.W. गेस्टनबर्ग जी ने अपनी पुस्तक फाइनेंशियल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एंड मैनेजमेंट ऑफ बिजनेस में प्रमोशन की परिभाषा दी है. इसके हिसाब से प्रमोशन का अर्थ किसी भी प्रकार के बिजनेस अपॉर्चुनिटी को डिस्कवर करना, उसके फंड्स को ऑर्गेनाइज करना, उसकी प्रॉपर्टी को ऑर्गेनाइज करना और मैनेजरियल एबिलिटी से संबंधित जितने भी कार्य हैं वो सब करने से है. प्रमोशन का मतलब ऐसे सब कार्य करना जो उस बिजनेस को चालू करने के लिए आवश्यक है, जो कहीं ना कहीं वो प्रॉफिट के पर्पज से किए जा रहे हैं. ऐसा व्यक्ति जो ये सब कार्य करता है उसे प्रमोटर कहा जाता है. यदि हम प्रमोटर टर्म की बात करते हैं, प्रमोटर के मीनिंग की बात करते हैं, तो कोई भी कंपनी जब एग्जिस्टेंस में आती है तो उसके लिए जब आप इनकॉर्पोरेशन करवाते हैं, इनकॉर्पोरेशन करवाने के लिए जो भी स्टेप लिए जाते हैं, ऐसा व्यक्ति जो इन सभी स्टेप्स को लेता है वो व्यक्ति प्रमोटर कहलाता है. क्लॉज 69 के अनुसार प्रमोटर की परिभाषा कुछ शब्दों में दी गई है, जैसे कि एज पर सेक्शन 2 क्लॉज 69 प्रमोटर एक ऐसा व्यक्ति कहलाएगा जिसका नाम कंपनी के प्रोस्पेक्टस में प्रमोटर के रूप में लिखा गया है. सेकंड वन इज जिसके कहने पे कंपनी के जितने भी कार्य हैं उनको कंट्रोल किया जा रहा है, नियंत्रित किया जा रहा है. एंड द थर्ड वन इज जिसके एडवाइस के अनुसार या जिसके डायरेक्शन के अनुसार बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर्स अपने कार्य कर रहा है, ऐसे व्यक्ति को प्रमोटर कहा जाता है. कह सकते हैं कि प्रमोटर एक ऐसा व्यक्ति है जो प्रोफेशनल कैपेसिटी में कार्य नहीं करता, जैसे कि एडवोकेट, सॉलिसिटर या ऑडिटर करते हैं. यदि हम प्रमोटर की लीगल पोजीशन की बात करते हैं तो प्रमोटर ना तो किसी कंपनी के लिए ट्रस्टी का कार्य करता है, ना ही वो एजेंट के रूप में कार्य करता है. प्रमोटर की जो पोजीशन है वो विश्वासकर्ता के रूप में बताई गई है, अतः वो कंपनी के लिए विश्वासकर्ता के रूप में कार्य करता है. वीवर्स मिल्स लिमिटेड वर्सेस बाल्किस के वाद में ऑनरेबल कोर्ट के द्वारा ये कहा गया था कि प्रमोटर एक ऐसे व्यक्ति को कहा जाएगा जो कंपनी से संबंधित सभी स्टेप्स पूरे करता है और उसके संबंध में बिजनेस को शुरू करने से लेकर बिजनेस के कमेंसमेंट तक जितने भी स्टेप उठाए जाते हैं वो सब कार्य करने वाला व्यक्ति ही प्रमोटर कहलाता है. देयर आर द सर्टेन ड्यूटीज ऑफ द प्रमोटर आल्सो. प्रमोटर के कुछ कर्तव्य भी बताए गए हैं और कुछ दायित्व भी हैं, जैसे कि प्रमोटर की जो पोजीशन है किसी भी कंपनी के लिए वो विश्वासकर्ता के रूप में होती है. अतः यह कहा जाता है कि कोई भी प्रमोटर किसी भी कंपनी के संबंध में एक विश्वासकर्ता के रूप में कार्य करता है. उनके पास इतनी शक्ति होती है कि वो ये डिसाइड कर सकते हैं कि कब, कैसे और किस शेप में कंपनी के कार्य किए जाएंगे. और ऐसी स्थिति में यह जरूरी हो जाता है कि वो विश्वासकर्ता के रूप में कार्य करे. यदि वो उस विश्वास का हनन करता है तो ऐसी स्थिति में उसको पर्सनली लायबल ठहराया जा सकता है. मनीष प्रमोटर का ये भी कर्तव्य है कि वो कंपनी से संबंधित जितने भी मटेरियल फैक्ट्स हैं वो सब डिस्क्लोज करके चले, किसी भी फैक्ट को, तथ्य को छुपाए ना. यदि वो ऐसा नहीं करता, वो किसी तथ्य को छुपाता है और उसके द्वारा कुछ सीक्रेट प्रॉफिट्स कमाता है, ऐसी स्थिति में उसको पर्सनली लायबल ठहराया जा सकता है. एंड द थर्ड वन इज ड्यूटी नॉट टू मेक सीक्रेट प्रॉफिट्स. प्रमोटर का ये भी कर्तव्य है कि वो कंपनी का नाम लेते हुए कोई सीक्रेट प्रॉफिट ना कमाए. यदि वो ऐसा करता है तो ऐसी स्थिति में पर्सनली लायबल ठहराया जाएगा. ऐसा एनलार्जर वर्सेस न्यू समरोयो फॉस्फेट कंपनी के वाद में भी कहा गया था. इस वाद में मिस्टर एनलार्जर ने केवल फॉस्फेट का एक आइलैंड परचेज किया था जो 55,000 रुपये के लिए परचेस किया गया था और जिस लैंड को खरीदने में प्रमोटर्स ने कुछ सीक्रेट प्रॉफिट कमाए थे जिसको डिस्क्लोज नहीं किया गया था। अतः हाउस ऑफ लॉर्ड्स ने ये कहा था कि प्रमोटर्स ने ये जो कार्य किया है इसकी वजह से कंपनी के जितने भी मेंबर्स हैं उनको अधिकार है कि वो इस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट को रिसाइन कर सकते हैं और वहाँ पे प्रमोटर के द्वारा जितना भी प्रॉफिट कमाया के लिए लाइबल होंगे। यदि हम प्रमोटर्स के दायित्व की बात करते हैं तो देयर आर द सर्टेन लाइबिलिटीज ऑफ द प्रमोटर्स आल्सो, जैसे कि कंपनी के इनकॉर्पोरेशन करते समय, कंपनी का रजिस्ट्रेशन करवाते समय वो किसी भी तथ्य को छुपाए ना। यदि वो प्रमोटर्स किसी तथ्य को छुपाकर कंपनी का इनकॉर्पोरेशन या रजिस्ट्रेशन करवाते हैं, ऐसी स्थिति में प्रमोटर्स को पर्सनली लायबल ठहराया जा सकता है। ऐसा सेक्शन 447 में प्रावधान भी किया गया है। सेक्शन 447 के अनुसार यदि कोई प्रमोटर ऐसा करता है, ऐसी स्थिति में उसको कम से कम 6 महीने और ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा 10 साल तक की सज़ा दी जा सकती है और उसके अलावा फाइन भी इम्पोज किया जा सकता है। इन मनीज यदि प्रमोटर के द्वारा कोई प्रोस्पेक्टस में कोई गलती की जाती है और या कोई तथ्य छुपाया जाता है, ऐसी स्थिति में भी प्रमोटर्स को पर्सनली लायबल ठहराया जा सकता है। प्रमोटर ऐसा करता पाया जाता है या उसने जानबूझकर कोई प्रोस्पेक्टस में गलती की है, ऐसी स्थिति में उसको 3 साल तक की सज़ा दी जा सकती है और 50,000 रुपये फाइन जो 3 लाख रुपए तक एक्सटेंड किया जा सकता है या दोनों के द्वारा भी दंडित किया जा सकता है। एंड द नेक्स्ट वन इज सिविल एंड क्रिमिनल लाइबिलिटी फॉर द मिस स्टेटमेंट इन द प्रोस्पेक्टस। यदि कोई प्रोस्पेक्टस के अंदर कोई मिस स्टेटमेंट दी जाती है, गलत प्रकार की स्टेटमेंट दी जाती है, ऐसी स्थिति में प्रमोटर्स को सिविल या क्रिमिनल लाइबिलिटी थोपी जा सकती है। 35 में इसका प्रावधान किया गया है। एंड नेक्स्ट वन इज फॉर नॉन डिस्क्लोजर ऑफ द सीक्रेट प्रॉफिट। यदि कोई प्रमोटर किसी प्रकार का सीक्रेट प्रॉफिट कमाता है और उसको डिस्क्लोज नहीं करता है, ऐसी स्थिति में भी उसको सजा दी जाएगी। स्थितियाँ थी जहाँ पर प्रमोटर को किसी भी कार्य के लिए जो कंपनी के हित में नहीं है उसके लिए उसे पर्सनली लायबल ठहराया जाएगा। And this was all about the formation of the company. And if you have any doubt, you must put down in the comment section. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe this channel for the further update. Thank you.